So what am I doing to prep for Joe Biden's inauguration tomorrow, January 20th, 2021? What's going on, team? It's Ricky with Technical Solutions. Before we get started with today's video, overall recap on the day. From today's earlier video, I was up nearly $4,000 and I ended the day a little bit over $5,600. And you guys can see that a majority of my positions have been sold or have been loaded off. And what I mean by that is, why am I selling so much of my position and not holding as much overnight? And it's to tolerate a pullback. And one of the things that we need to talk about is I want to talk about three different things. First, since November 3rd of 2020, when it was said that Joe Biden was the president-elect, the market has or is up over 13%, which is the biggest gain with overall market since 1952, if I'm not mistaken. So that's really good signs of Biden being put into office. The thing that I do want to talk about is because the market is so overbought, and you guys know that I'm always just thinking about worst case scenarios, because the overall market is so overbought, I hope that it only continues to uptrend, but I can't just be super hopeful. I need to think about worst case scenario, and that is essentially why I wasn't afraid to lock in my profits, right? I turned my 180 shares on Tesla and I turned them down to 90, and I only plan to hold 50 overnight. I mean, I still have 4 hours to trade after the market closes because of my TD Ameritrade account. So it's really cool to have been able to take advantage of the opportunity today, but I also want to prep for worst case scenario. So I want to have enough money in the market that if it continues to uptrend, I can benefit from it. But I want to not have so much in case it pulls back because it's so overbought or whatever might happen due to volatility, which shouldn't be a surprise. I can tolerate that pullback and have enough buying power to buy more at the lower levels. I'm just approaching it in my specific way. If you want to approach it in an aggressive way where you go all in and you hope that it only continues to remain bullish, I wish you nothing but the best. The other thing that I also want you to take into consideration is not just talking about the inauguration tomorrow, but this upcoming week, and as you guys have seen from last week, and these upcoming weeks, not just next week or not just this week, but the weeks to come, we're going through earnings season for Q1, which is super, super important because a lot of these stocks are pulling back. And you might be asking, well, Ricky, what stocks are pulling back? Well, an example could be Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo pulled back right after reported earnings, and this is a very common trend. And a lot of stocks have earnings this week. A lot of stocks have earnings in the weeks to come, especially when they hit 180-day highs. And if their guidance is a little bit off, it doesn't even matter if they end up exceeding expectations. If their guidance is a little bit off or whatever the case might be, you have seen it firsthand that it has pulled back. So as we are on a rally since November 3rd, the overall market is up 13%. Biden gets inaugurated tomorrow, which should provide some form of volatility. Now, you also have to take into consideration the earnings. I'm just trying to think about worst case scenario. But again, I want to do this in a very well-balanced way that I can day trade with a much larger position size intraday so I can manage my risk. Right? So when it comes down to Tesla, when it comes down to Twitter, did you guys see that it showed a nice sign of a recovery? So if it breaks above the EMA line, I plan to buy more. But I don't want to buy so much that if all this craziness happens in the next couple of days, just in case it pulls back, that I don't become uncomfortable or super emotional. And how do you not become uncomfortable or super emotional? Well, just imagine you only owning one share of a stock that's $45. If it pulls back 1-2%, you're like, well, whatever, right? You're able to tolerate that movement. And that's the idea that I'm trying to share with you. You want to have enough money that you feel motivated, not so much that you become an emotional mess and less effective. And those are the two main things that I want to talk about. The only last thing that I kind of wanted to highlight is why might the market be volatile? Well, it's great that we've been on a rally since November 3rd for Joe Biden, and then he gets inaugurated tomorrow. But because of his talks on how he's going to work on the upset of COVID, as well as his relief plan, we actually want to see once he gets put into office, what he actually begins to tackle and how the market reacts to that. And because the market is so overextended, meaning that it's super overbought and it's bound for a pullback or bound for a correction, I'm sure it's not going to take much for the market to correct itself in any form of way. And that's all I want you to think about. I hope and wish you nothing but the best. It's going to be very exciting tomorrow to see how the market reacts. Just make sure that, you watch that position size, you rebalance them, and you take into consideration not just your profit potential, but also how much money you can lose if you end up holding a very, very aggressive position size. So again, all together on the day, up a little bit over $5,600. Super thankful, super blessed to be able to kickstart this week on a green note. And I will see you tomorrow at Market Open for our live trading session. And that's that second link down below. I hope that I earned your thumbs up. Any further questions, comment those down below and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.